Cushing News Network. Timothy Leary was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, in a Catholic household. His parents were divorced when he was only 13 years old. Leary attended Classical High School and later graduated into the College of Holy Cross in Worcester. His father, who wanted him to be in the military, forced him to join the United States Military Academy in West Point. He was arrested several times for violating the honor code, including drinking, lying, and infractions involving other cadets. Leary was soon brought in front of the honor committee and later resigned with an honorable discharge. He then attended the University of Alabama and maintained good grades in psychology and biology. He was expelled, however, for spending time in the female dormitory. Amidst the World War II, Leary was again drafted into the United States Army. While serving in the Army, he also studied psychology at Georgetown University and Ohio State University. He was later reinstated at the University of Alabama and graduated in 1945. In the same year, Leary was assigned to Daishon General Hospital and engaged in work with mostly deaf patients. In 1945, he was formally discharged and won a Good Conduct Medal. After serving time in the Army, he went and pursued in psychology, eventually earning a PhD degree in clinical psychology at UC Berkeley. In 1957, Leary started experimenting with psilocybe mexicana mushrooms on a trip to Mexico. He concluded after every experiment that he had traveled to an altered course of life. He stated that he had learned more about psychology by taking mushrooms than by studying textbooks. This period of his life of rapid experimentation on himself also is where his famous quote, "Turn on, tune in, and drop out," originated from. In 1960, Leary and Richard Alpert began the Harvard Psilocybe Project, with the goal of doing further experimenting on human subjects. Leary ran into trouble for the first time in 1965 when marijuana was found in his possession at the border crossing from Mexico. In 1968, Leary was arrested in California, Laguna Beach, again due to marijuana. On May 19, 1969, the Supreme Court officially declared the Marijuana Tax Act unconstitutional in Leary v. United States. On January 21, 1970, Leary got a 10-year sentence due to his 1968 incident. 10 more was added while he was in custody. He was assigned to work in gardening, but managed to escape in September 1970. It was later discovered that Leary had paid the Weather Underground Organization $25,000 to smuggle him out. In 1971, he and his wife fled to Switzerland. The U.S. President Richard Nixon's attorney, however, tried to convince Switzerland to imprison him and send him back, which they eventually did. Leary was subsequently labeled by the president as the most dangerous man in America. He faced a 95-year sentence, but remained quite positive and productive in prison, publishing Starseed and Neurologic, both wrote in 1973. He was released early from jail on April 21, 1976, and resided to Laurel Canyon, where he would continue in careers such as writing, computer science, and many others for the last 2 decades of his life.